cold and 45 degrees outside right now, so I thought I'd take a moment to go through the TFT display here on the Honda Africa Twin. Some riders say it's pretty confusing, so let's make it less confusing. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get this fired up. So you notice this lower display turns on right away. This upper TFT display takes a little bit for it to turn on, about 20-25 seconds. It's kind of annoying for some guys. I don't mind it so much. I'm not starting riding out right away. Of course, there's this warning that motorcycling is inherently dangerous. You can either hit OK, or you can just wait for it to come on. Let's talk about the lower display first. You can see that it has the gear that you're in right here and right here. It has your low oil warning light, it has your traction control warning light, and your ABS warning light. And any other warning lights would come on here. You can see your miles per hour, total miles that you have ridden, and of course again the gear that you're in. It may seem redundant to have a display down here and have some similar information up here in the TFT display. While I ride, I mostly use the TFT display. I occasionally look at my miles per hour here and what gear I'm in, but I'm mostly using the TFT display. The reason why there's two different displays is because sometimes you're going to be using features on the TFT display like Apple CarPlay and now Android Auto. You want to have this information in this lower display that's not going to be displayed up here. Alright, let's just kind of go over what's on the TFT display then. So just like your smartphone, it's got a lot of information up top here. If your phone's connected like mine is, it shows how many bars you have, the battery life of your phone, and if you're connected through Bluetooth or not. Of course, the time of day, and of course, the temperature. It's 47 degrees here in Madison, Wisconsin in late March. And this right here is the heated grips. And I'm just going to say how wonderful these heated grips are. In fact, since it's so cold here in Madison, Wisconsin, I'm just going to fire these up a little bit more. So to do this, you hit the function button on the right side here, and then you hit the function button here on the left. And you get nice toasty warm heated grips. Even while the bike's not running, these heated grips are going to warm up. So occasionally I'm going to be grabbing the grips just to warm my hands up a bit. Let's talk a little bit about the modes first. There are 6 different modes. I have it in tour mode now. You can see it cuts power a little bit, engine braking, and has complete traction control. ABS is on for the road. So the other modes are urban, power's a little higher, engine braking is about the same, traction control, on-road ABS, and medium. And gravel, off-road, user 1, user 2, and I'll show you how to adjust the user modes in a little bit. But let's go back to tour mode. You can hear my preload adjusting there. Now with the displays, I'll show you how to change these in a little bit, but there's gold, silver, and bronze displays. Gold has the most amount of information. Silver doesn't have as much information as gold, but still has a lot of information. And then of course, bronze has the least amount of information. So let's go through gold. You can see a crap ton of information here. The gear that you're in, your power, your engine braking, your traction control, whether ABS is on or not, and if it's off-road mode or if it's on-road mode ABS. And I'll switch to tour here to show you, so it's on-road there. Preload is set for hard for tour mode here. You can see the fuel that you have left and the engine temperature, and of course your miles per hour. Over here, you could set so much information here. So there's 4 different screens: trip A, average consumption, average speed for this particular mode. If you change a mode and keep it in gold settings, it will show you the average speed, the average consumption, and the total consumption for that mode, and the total number of miles as well. You flip over, you got trip B, the same information for that particular trip. You got your range, your battery voltage, you got the date here as well. And then the information that I use mostly, whether you have ABS on or off, if traction control is set, how the degree it's set, your wheelie control, and your preload. So let's go ahead and adjust a few of these. Let's do this in off-road so I can show you how to turn on and off ABS. So to make these changes here, you're going to hit the enter button right here. You notice how it highlighted in blue? Now, I want to be able to turn ABS off. So I can either hit this little switch here to switch over to cancel. It's going to ask me whether I want to do it or not. I'm going to hit yes. Now ABS is not active. In off-road mode, the rear is off. And once you're done, you're going to go ahead and hit the return button, and it's back to normal. And now I'm going to show you how to do it a different way. It's a touch screen. You could just click on it like that, and now it's active. Go ahead and cancel again. It's gonna ask you, do you really wanna do this? You can hit yes, it's all set. So the touchscreen is really responsive, and that's what I like about it. If you're riding, you got gloves on, sometimes you're not gonna be able to do that. It's easy to use the switches here on the left side. I know this looks like you're programming NORAD here. There's a lot of switches here. But once you get used to it, it's not too difficult. So I have it activated. I wanna go down to the traction control, the HSTC, that's Honda's traction control. So to go up and down, we'll just switch these arrow buttons here, and I can either use my finger to adjust the traction control, like that, or I can use this little switch here. And while you're riding, it's very easy to do that. Same with wheelie control, I could go down, make those adjustments. Preload, you can set it for one rider, or you can set it for one rider plus luggage. You can hear now the preload adjusted there. Or you can set it for two riders, and you can hear the preload adjusting there again. Or you could set it for two riders and luggage. And we'll go ahead and switch that back to just me. And then to exit out, you just hit the return button. Now the only modes you can make those changes in is the gold screen. In the bronze screen here, you can't make those changes. And also in the silver screen, which is right here, you can't make those changes either. So let's go more into the settings. To get to the settings screen, you're gonna wanna hit right in the center there where the time is. You have riding information, and that just takes you back to that screen. You can connect your phone here. You can connect Apple CarPlay here. I'm not gonna show you how to do that now. Let's go into the settings. So function, these are your user modes. We'll go through that in just a second. But let's go ahead and show the display settings here first. You can adjust the brightness, the background, you can have it black or white, and you can even set favorite information. These are those 4 screens that were shown earlier, and you can make a ton of different changes here. Say you don't want consumption here. Say you want average speed there. Instead, you can swap these out, or time elapsed. You can swap these out by just clicking it. Now you see time elapsed there, but I don't really want that. I much rather have my consumption there. So that's back there. You can make a whole bunch of additions here. You can add your voltage, you can add your elapsed time, your range, so many different options for all of these screens. Brightness, you can either set for just have it all dark all the time, or all bright all the time, or you can set it on auto based on the light around you. Go back into display mode, and here is where you change all your screens from gold, silver, and bronze. So in tour mode, we have it set at gold. We want it at silver. We'll go ahead and just hit that arrow, that button there. Now I'll show you how tour mode is no longer gold by going back to rider information, and we'll go to tour. And right here you can see it's silver. And you can make all of these modes set at gold, silver, or bronze. Lastly, in the display, you can set a favorite switch. You can have it at traction control, wheelie control, or riding mode. Right now, I'm not changing the wheelie control or traction control very often. I'm changing the riding modes much more often, so I have my favorite switch here set at riding modes. In general, you can set the date and time, units, volume, your language, and you can go ahead and restore the default settings. Service. You can set your maintenance schedule here when you have your oil change, and I'm probably due for an oil change since my last one was in November. You could set the bike in service mode if you're transporting it, and just system information if you need a software update, which I do if I want to use Android Auto in the future. Hardware information, the GPS status, and just some other information that you probably won't ever use. You could set your Bluetooth here, connect a Bluetooth device. This is where you'll pair your headset. If you want to use Apple CarPlay, it's required to use a headset for Apple CarPlay. And you can show the connected services. I got Apple CarPlay set up. And regulatory, not really useful information. If you want to go through this, go ahead and pause it and read through it. All right, let's go into function now. This is where you're gonna set your user modes. Click on user modes, user 1 and user 2. Right now I have user 1 set up in an off-road mode and user 2 set up in a kind of long distance, mostly highway mode. So user 1, click on that. You can adjust the power, 4 different settings there. The degree of engine braking, right now I've got it at a moderate level for this mode. The overall suspension damping, I have it set in off-road mode. Front suspension damping, you can have medium, soft, or hard. And you can adjust the ABS for on-road or off-road modes. And if you're in the gold display for these user modes, you can turn ABS in the rear off. You can adjust the preload for just the rider. Right now I have it set at pretty soft, all right? And then you can set the preload for rider and cargo, preload for rider and passenger, and preload for rider, passenger, and cargo. And you can do the same thing with user 2. And right now, as you can see, I have this set more for kind of a long distance highway riding. And you can turn on and off auto cancel turn signal. I like having it on because I rode a Harley previously and it had the auto turn signal cancel on there, so I like having it. Let's take a look at the left button options here. Of course, you got your turn signals, and then to cancel, press the center. Got hazards. You got your horn, which I'm not going to beep because it's rather loud. These 2 buttons here are for if you have audio. You can hit forward or track backwards. Of course, the return, that's your favorite button. It's the enter button to change some of the modes in gold setting, and then to page through them. Up here is for if you want to communicate with your phone at all. Either you're making a phone call, you can initiate it, or you want to elicit the help of Siri or OK Google. This is your function button. Once you hit this first function button on the right, you can either adjust the volume with this switch, or you can adjust the heated grips like I showed earlier. Then of course your lights, your brights all the way up, and passing warning by pressing it up and down.